There are moments when someone with absolutely no political stake in a story examines the evidence and reacts with pure, unfiltered human instinct. No agenda, no side to defend, no brand strategy to protect. Just a person looking directly at documented facts and responding honestly to what appears in front of them. In this chapter of the unfolding story, Joe Rogan is reportedly that observer. According to individuals said to be present or familiar with the situation, when Rogan reviewed the material that Candace Owens had assembled, screenshots, timelines, connections to Epstein-related files, the Romanian orphanage project, the Belfast recruitment announcement, and the coordinated silence surrounding it all, the reaction was not political and not ideological. The response, according to those accounts, was visceral and immediate. Rogan allegedly said, "This woman is connected to every demon in the industry. She's crazy. Good job, Candace." That reaction carries weight for an important reason.
Change is actually in reference to Erika then having sent this 15-year-old to have photos taken. Insane. She sent this 15-year-old to have photos taken. She's helping her because she's just so beautiful.
Not because Joe Rogan represents the final authority on any subject, but because someone with his reach and reputation for independent thinking looked at the evidence and responded with that level of alarm. There was no partisan motivation, no media rivalry, and no political battle shaping the reaction. Instead, the response reportedly came from someone outside the internal conflict entirely. Observers say that moment signals something significant. When material assembled by Candace Owens draws a response that intense from someone not involved in the dispute, it suggests the situation may cross a threshold beyond ordinary political disagreements. According to those discussing the reaction, the controversy moves beyond conservative versus liberal, beyond media feuds, and beyond typical political commentary conflicts. In their view, the story begins to look less like a simple dispute inside conservative media and more like something much larger demanding public attention. This situation is no longer about who controls the TPUSA brand or who claims credit for Charlie Kirk's legacy. Once the entire timeline is laid out together, and the thread is followed from a teenager's tweets in 2013 all the way to Epstein-related files and a recruitment trip to Belfast, one difficult question continues resurfacing that observers say cannot be ignored. And here is the detail many people have not fully connected yet. The timeline becomes clearer when examined from the very beginning in the order events reportedly unfolded. The year is 2013. Erika Kirk has just completed her run as Miss Arizona. At 25 years old, she appears polished, well-connected, and actively building influence inside conservative media and political pipeline circles.
The American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redaction whatsoever.
With a visible public profile, a growing following, and access to influential networks, the platform around her is already expanding rapidly. On the evening of September 15th of that year, according to publicly archived social media posts, Erika reportedly crossed paths with a 15-year-old girl named Jillian Falcon. At first glance, the interaction might appear like something many adults would overlook without concern. Jillian appeared to admire an older and glamorous public figure. Tweets described Erika as beautiful, even referring to her as a woman crush. On its own, that kind of admiration from a teenager toward a public personality is not unusual. The exchange, however, reportedly referenced Erika encouraging the teenager to have photographs taken. Critics described the moment bluntly. Exchange is actually in reference to Erika, then having sent this 15-year-old to have photos taken. Supporters have argued the context may have involved encouragement or mentorship, noting that teenagers often look up to public figures they find inspiring or attractive. That type of admiration by itself does not automatically signal anything inappropriate. But critics say the real issue begins with what allegedly followed. According to their interpretation, the central question involves how an adult with public influence chooses to respond when admiration from a teenager appears. In situations involving minors, responsibility typically requires careful boundaries. An adult can ignore the admiration, maintain distance, or engage only through appropriate mentorship channels with parental awareness and consent. What critics argue should never occur is stepping deeper into that admiration and moving interactions into private spaces away from public accountability. According to screenshots that later circulated widely online and were analyzed in detail by Candace Owens, along with thousands of online observers, That is what some believe may have happened. The alleged interaction reportedly did not remain limited to public Twitter exchanges. According to the timeline discussed by commentators, Erika's account later went private while Jillian's account remained public. Because Jillian continued posting publicly, the evolving dynamic was still visible even to viewers who could not see the direct messages themselves. The alleged messages also included personal compliments. Screenshots circulating online show Erika reportedly telling Jillian things such as, "Your eyes, your lips, your skin, you are absolutely beautiful." Observers say the language appears highly specific and focused on physical features. Researchers who study problematic dynamics in youth-facing environments often identify this type of targeted praise as a known pattern used to create emotional closeness. According to those researchers, the technique involves making a young person feel uniquely noticed and valued through repeated positive attention and validation.
Screenshots are all over the internet right now of her exchanging gifts and inappropriate text messages with a 15-year-old. Candace Owens is losing her shit, and her own employees are getting fired for asking questions.
The pattern is sometimes described using the term love bombing. Love bombing refers to a situation where someone floods another person with compliments, encouragement, and emotional attention in a short period of time. Experts say the purpose can be to quickly build trust and emotional reliance. Once that dependency forms, the person receiving the attention may begin to rely heavily on the individual providing that validation. Critics argue that such dynamics can create influence and control if boundaries are not clearly maintained. Because of those patterns, the alleged messages circulated online have been examined closely by commentators, including discussions raised by Candace Owens and many observers across social media platforms. Then another moment in the timeline appears that intensified the entire controversy dramatically. Jillian reportedly shared a Valentine's image that she said Erika had sent to her privately. The image contained the phrase, "This Valentine's Day, I'm going to touch your butt." Another alleged message reportedly read, "I want to be inside your lady garden." According to critics examining the screenshots, those messages raised immediate concern because the wording appeared inappropriate for communication between an adult and a minor. Analysts reviewing the claims argue there is no context that makes language like that acceptable in such a situation. From their perspective, the central issue is straightforward. The alleged messages appear to show an adult directing explicit language toward a teenager, something critics say cannot easily be explained away by tone, humor, or misunderstanding. The timeline then reportedly moved further beyond online communication. According to posts shared by Jillian at the time, Erika allegedly sent her a birthday gift through the mail to her home address. That detail suggests Erika had access to Jillian's physical address, meaning the relationship had expanded from public social media interactions to private communication and eventually to real-world contact through a delivered package. Each individual detail is troubling enough on its own, according to commentators discussing the situation. But another element reportedly made observers even more uncomfortable when it appeared online. Critics say the pattern of messages, compliments, and personal advice seemed to be building towards something specific. Some screenshots allegedly included comments encouraging Jillian about appearance, including suggestions about staying hydrated and avoiding salty foods so she would not appear bloated in photographs. At first, some people assumed those comments meant Erika and Jillian might attend an event or public appearance together. But according to the claims circulating online, that was not the case. That silence in this specific moment and surrounding this documented timeline communicates more loudly than any statement that could have been released publicly. Observers examining the situation say the pattern of behavior appearing across the timeline feels consistent and recognizable. Organizations or individuals who possess clear answers to documented questions normally present those answers openly. They address claims directly with specific explanations. They produce evidence that challenges accusations and resolves confusion. Transparency usually benefits those who believe the facts support them. But critics argue that when silence replaces explanation, it often signals that transparency may not serve the interests of those involved. According to commentators studying the controversy, responses focused on new announcements or public campaigns instead of addressing the allegations only deepen the questions. Reports have also circulated claiming that internal discussion within the organization became restricted as the controversy grew. Some accounts suggest that employees who raised questions about Erika Kirk, the Jillian screenshots, or alleged links appearing in the public record were eventually dismissed or pushed out. Before his death, Charlie Kirk had publicly demanded complete transparency regarding files connected to Jeffrey Epstein. He called repeatedly for full public release without redactions and spoke about networks of influence and compromised power surrounding those files. According to commentators reviewing the timeline, Charlie had even ordered a financial audit of his own organization after expressing concern that something was not right internally. Now, critics claim the direction of the organization appears to contradict the transparency he publicly advocated. Instead of open answers, they point to alleged whistleblower removals, unanswered questions, and online campaigns targeting critics. At the center of the debate are two possible realities, both of which generate discomfort regardless of which interpretation appears more believable. The first possibility is that the entire controversy represents an extremely sophisticated attempt to damage the reputation of a public figure who did nothing wrong. In that version, the screenshots would be fabricated or manipulated, the connections misinterpreted, and the parallels involving Romania or other international projects purely circumstantial. Under that interpretation, the behavior following Charlie's death could simply reflect grief that observers misunderstood as coldness. In this scenario, Erika Kirk would be the target of a coordinated smear campaign built from misleading evidence, and the narrative constructed by Candace Owens would represent a powerful, but ultimately inaccurate interpretation. That possibility deserves acknowledgement. History shows that sophisticated disinformation campaigns exist. Evidence can be manipulated, and public opinion can sometimes condemn innocent people. But the second possibility is also discussed widely online. In that version, the story unfolding publicly represents only the early stage of a much larger exposure process. In that interpretation, the screenshots shared by Jillian would represent genuine material that has not been disproven. The appearances of certain names connected to groups mentioned in the Epstein files would remain part of the public record. The Romanian projects and international recruitment efforts would represent real events rather than coincidences. Critics also point to the organizational silence, alleged whistleblower firings, and influencer campaigns as documented developments rather than speculation. Some commentators even reference the reaction attributed to Joe Rogan after reviewing the material, describing a response of visible alarm. According to those analyzing the controversy, the reason the story refuses to fade is simple. The individuals involved are real. The screenshots circulating online are real documents that have not been fully disproven. References appearing in Epstein-related records are part of publicly accessible files. The Romanian connections, the Belfast recruitment announcement, and the ongoing silence from key figures are all real events that occurred in the public record. Even additional claims have fueled discussion, including statements from Matt Wallace saying he was allegedly offered money to publicly criticize Candace Owens. That claim itself became part of the ongoing debate. Meanwhile, reports say investigations connected to financial matters have drawn attention from the Internal Revenue Service. Public figures such as Kid Rock have also been mentioned within the wider online conversation. The series discussing these events reportedly reached more than 7.3 million views within 48 hours, despite claims that efforts were made to suppress it. For viewers who followed the story from the beginning, from a teenager's tweets in September 2013 all the way to the later references involving Epstein files and a recruitment trip to Belfast, the final question naturally emerges. Why would so much effort and so many resources appear to be directed towards stopping that question from being asked? And according to critics examining the situation, the intensity of those responses suggests that whatever answer eventually emerges may carry consequences far beyond a simple media controversy.